TGIF, and thank goodness we've got a new edition of ESPN FC coming your way right now. I'm Alexis Younes, hanging out with Nicol and Shaka Hislop, and the Premier League is where we have to start. Just have a look at all of the fixtures on offer this weekend. Sunday, of course, is the big one with Arsenal hosting Manchester City, but Saturdays... Stevie, let me get to it. But Saturday's early kickoff is the ever-entertaining Merseyside derby with a mighty Liverpool hosting Everton. Did you like that one?
It was better, but...
And then Chelsea travel to Manchester United to face Ruben Amorim's side, who desperately needs something to secure the manager's future at United. Well, interestingly enough, speaking about that, this week, Man United owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe held a meeting with Ruben Amorim, and have a listen to what the United manager had to say about it.
Sir Jim Ratcliffe was here yesterday. I mean, obviously, there's a lot going on at the club, but everybody kind of focuses on you. Could you just tell us what you spoke about with him?
New contract. He was offering me a new contract. And no, it's normal things just to show the support, explaining that is a long project. He said many times this is my first season. For me, it's not. But normal things. Spoke with him, with Omar, with Jason, just trying to see all the data around the team. So a normal meeting, and we had several. But in this moment, it's normal. People pay attention to that.
I mean, I understand you will appreciate the support, I'm sure. But you also know you do have to win matches, don't you?
That is, guys, this is football, and this is the club with more pressure maybe in the world. But we want to win. And again, I think we are. You can say whatever. And I think last year I was a lot of very critical of the way we play. I think we are playing well until the boxes, defending and attacking. We need to be more aggressive in the boxes. We need to be more clinical. The rest, I think we are improving in comparing to last year. I think we are in the better place. But again, we need to win. We lost against Arsenal and we lost against City. And here losing, especially in the beginning after last season, is a problem.
Afternoon, Ruben. You said after the City game that there are a lot of things that have happened in the last few months that we don't know about. Appreciate you might not be able to say everything, but can you give us some context as to the type of things?
No, guys, you know more or less, and you are here for a while, and you have your sources, so you know what I was talking about. But now I'm focused on Chelsea.
Well, Ruben Amorim there, despite all of the pressure on him right now, he's still able to have a laugh in the pre-match presser. Someone who loves a laugh, Frank Leboeuf, he's joining us as well. And someone who hates laughing, Rob Dawson, is also joining us. Rob, I'm just kidding. See, I knew I was going to get a laugh out of it. Rob knows. We've had many a good laugh. But Rob, let's talk about Manchester United now. You were at this exact presser. And even though Ruben Amorim was able to make some jokes, have a laugh there, you do get the sense that there's a bit more going on behind the scenes. So what more can you tell us about what your sources are probably telling you about what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it was an odd comment that Ruben made after the Manchester derby, that he kind of said there are other things going on that you don't know anything about. And he was just hinting at kind of things that he's had to deal with, that, you know, he's being judged right now by performances on the pitch and results. But what he will tell you is that that's only half the story, in that he's had to come into a very, very difficult situation when he took over from Erik ten Hag in November. He's had to deal with an awful lot over the summer, including having to kind of change or at least try to change the culture in the dressing room, sort of away from the pitch. The likes of Marcus Rashford have had to leave. Alejandro Garnacho has had to leave. So there's all these things that he's had to deal with that has affected his ability to do his job. And he's simply saying that he's being judged right now on performances and results, which is right because he's manager of Man United. But there are other things, or have been other things that have been going on that he's tried to work through. He's hopeful that he is taking the first sort of small steps forward, and he has seen signs of progress on the pitch. He understands, though, that those signs haven't been fantastic, that it has been slow progress. And ultimately, he said there that he's going to get judged by by results, and they're not there right now, and he needs to start winning matches, particularly against Chelsea at Old Trafford on Saturday.
Frank, when Ruben Amorim was talking there, you were making some interesting faces at his comments. What stood out to you?
Well, I think it was surreal what I heard. I mean, first I love the question from the journalist saying, yeah, you like the support, but do you really know that you have to win matches? That was surreal. First they started like that. So I loved it. And then the answer is, yes, I know. Of course I know. It's what I'm working hard with the team. But you know what? We are good. We are good in the middle of the park. We're not good at front and we're not good at the back. So you're not good where you have to be good. And that's the thing. Yeah, it's good to prepare. It's good to be okay in the middle of the park. But if you can finish action, or you cannot stop actions in the other side of the field, you're in trouble. So that was surreal for me. And I mean, that guy makes me laugh. I mean, there's going to be very big pressure on the two coaches because Amorim has to win. That's for sure. I think otherwise he's going to go through many troubles. But Maresca as well. I mean, after the draw in the Premier League last week and the loss against Bayern Munich, Maresca needs to have a result as well. Maybe a draw would be enough. I think he's not in danger. But the pressure can come up as well because he needs something out of that game. Manchester United is not at their best. So Chelsea can have a chance to win something, and they will have to work hard to make sure that they get the 3 points.
Gentlemen, like I said, Ruben Amorim still able to have a bit of a jovial spirit in this pre-match presser, even though the pressure is on him. People reminding him, look, you have to win games. We know that he's now had this meeting with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, even though he said it was an already planned meeting and it was normal chat as always. Do you feel like this Chelsea game is a make or break one for him?
Well, a 4-0 defeat at home, I would say would have to break him. I mean, the two things from what he was talking about, unless Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to sack him, then the only thing Ratcliffe is going to say is that we're backing him. Mm-hmm. Because he has to. And I think it's interesting that Amorim, although he says we're improving, he never tells you where they're improving. And there's a reason why he doesn't tell you where they're improving. It's because they haven't improved anywhere. Not up the front, not up the back, and not in the middle of the park. So it's all just gobbledygook. You've got to sit in a press conference, you've got to speak, and so you may as well try your best to make it as positive as you can. But the truth is, they're certainly not any better. It's possible they're worse. And, well, we're not buying it. I'm certainly not buying it.
For me, I think what Amorim says there, there's so much that you want to agree with, but then once you start looking a little bit closer, you begin to question. And now let's start with on the park. I don't understand the comment where we're really good except for in the 2 boxes.
Yeah.
That's where the game is decided. Aside from which, we've been very critical of Manchester United's midfield. So are you telling me that Ugarte and Menu and Casemiro is where you've been great this season? I just don't understand. I don't understand what he's getting at with that comment. On the other, I've read reports that saying that he and Sir Jim Ratcliffe have these regularly scheduled meetings with all the other hierarchy at the club, and this was just another one of those, but kind of given how the club has started, it takes on a different feel to it, which is all well and good, and credit if that's how it is. The other thing that I take significant exception, well, that is very true until you really... He's only lost to Arsenal and Manchester United. Now, that's very true, but...
What about Grimsby?
Well, hold on. They've only lost to them in the league. That is very true. But to Stevie's point, you've lost to Grimsby in the league. You drew with Fulham. You've drawn with Fulham in the league. Your one league win came courtesy of a 97th minute penalty against Burnley. So while you could sit back and say, we've only lost to Manchester City and Arsenal, and that looks good on the surface, when you look at Manchester United's results, as bad a start as it's been, the worst since 92-93, it could quite easily be worse. He could quite easily be having to answer for a whole lot more. So, which is why I started by saying, you want to agree with him, but if you really look a little bit deeper, it's hard to find sympathy with what Amorim is saying.
Rob, now we know that the problems that Manchester United face are not really Ruben Amorim's problems, but he did have the better parts of 10 months so far at Manchester United. And to Shaq and Stevie's point, we're not really seeing any improvement on any area of the pitch. And then you look over at what Thomas Frank is now doing at Spurs in such a little time. It's really hard to kind of buy into what Amorim is saying now.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting today that in Amorim's press conference that he kind of mentioned that Jim Radcliffe has said to him, well, this is your first season. And I suppose technically it is. It's his first full season, but he arrived in November. You're talking about quite a large sample size now. I think it's 31 Premier League games and only 8 wins. And that's just not good enough. Now, there is context to what happened last season. He will tell you that he threw away Premier League games because he was focused on the Europa League. It became their priority. They had to rest players. They had to try and win it as best they could. Now, they ended up playing weakened teams in the Premier League. They lost those games, and that's obviously contributed to this really, really poor record. This season, I mean, I would argue that they are marginally better this season than they were last year. I think if you look at some of the Premier League stats in terms of, XG and total shots and a lot of these attacking metrics, United are up there in terms of their Premier League rivals. The problem is that they just haven't been able to translate that into wins. And again, lots of United fans will listen to this and go, well, I don't care about XG. I care about actual goals and actual points. And that is completely valid. And what Amorim is hoping for is that eventually he feels that the team have been on the end of the wrong side of fine margins. And he's hoping that eventually that will flip. Now, if that doesn't happen, if it doesn't happen against Chelsea, and then they've got Brentford next, and then it's Sunderland at home, and then you've got an international break, if it hasn't happened by that next international break, there may well be another meeting with Sir Jim Radcliffe that isn't scheduled, and Amorim is told something that he doesn't want to hear, because it's fair enough to back him now, but that backing cannot go on indefinitely. You can't just keep backing someone who's not winning football matches. So eventually, he has to start winning. If he starts winning, it all goes away. If he doesn't, if the results carry on, the pressure will mount, and eventually Sir Jim Radcliffe will be forced into a decision.